Today we're going to be talking about fitness in later life, and today I have an amazing resident expert with us who has also brought me cookies. So I feel like I have to start with the cookies and we're going to come back to fitness. Okay, so Erin, these are the Wild Rose cookie, and you got to tell me what's in them because obviously this is all about fitness in later life. So first of all, I should offer you one because there's two.
Oh, yes, I've had plenty today, thank you.
I may actually eat these on set, so I hope no one minds on that thing. But okay, tell me about these cookies.
So
because
these are the Wild Rose cookies. We are known for them. They're made by our chef, Scott.
Okay.
We actually had a panel. We had taste tests, and these are the ones that won out by far. They have dark chocolate, white chocolate, pecans, and drizzled with caramel on top. So tell me what you think. Highly nutritious.
Did people decide if they liked them to be chewy or hard?
It was mixed. It was kind of 50-50 on the chewy and hard. Sometimes he makes them chewy, sometimes a little harder.
I guess it depends if I have dentures or not. That might be a bit more difficult. I could see that. Okay, fine. Very good cookie. You know, it's interesting that there's some of our communities, Wild Rose being one of them, Cottonwood, I think even Astor Gardens and Wisteria Place, almost through residents, they've started to bake like signature items that they get known for. I think in Cottonwood we have like the Cottonwood tart, which is very, very good, fashioned after one of our chef's old grandmother, or not old, his grandmother's old recipes on tarts. But yeah, super good, and I don't know why it's all about baking, but I think we should do a tour of like Optima sites and like the baking that they're doing. That would be actually really interesting. Okay, let's talk about fitness in later life, which I think is going to be super important. So tell us about yourself. So from what I understand, you've taught yoga in 5 countries, but you said 3 that you lived in. So I guess 5 in that you were touring the others and you just happened to live in 3 of them. But tell me more about this. So yoga in 5 countries.
Well, like I started at the very beginning, started in Canada, and then I did my first training in Los Angeles. Shortly thereafter, I was asked to teach in Hong Kong. I had a friend who was brought over there to help open up a yoga studio. Okay. There was no yoga there when we got there. It blew up. So when I was working in Hong Kong, I kind of ran out of things to teach because I only had one sort of small training under my belt. So I ended up going to India and I continued my studies there. And shortly thereafter, a couple of years, I was asked to be part of the faculty of a teacher training. So I can't say I've lived in India, but for the last 20-odd years, I would go there for 2 to 3 months a year. So I've spent a significant amount of time there.
And you still go every year?
Not for the past few years, not since I moved back to Canada. Okay. But I do plan on returning.
That would be like super interesting. And then as part of that, does meditation fall in that category? Like you've done these
100%.
These silence retreats? Like tell me about these things. Are they actually part of all of this, or is that just a
Not like a Buddhist Vipassana, which is typically a 10-day silent retreat, but when I go visit the ashram where was my yoga home there, it's a communal living environment. My teacher would usually prescribe me 1 to 5 days of silence, depending on kind of where I'm at. So the most I've done is a 5-day silent meditation. But meditation is part of the daily expectation of when you're staying at an ashram. We have an hour-long class every day. Interesting.
And what is it like to live at an ashram?
Not unlike living in a senior's home, actually. It's a communal environment. It's based on a holistic model. We have daily activities. At the ashram, they're more required. It's based around nutrition and healthy eating, communications, dealing with people from different backgrounds, different geographical locations, study, self-study, sacred study, karma, selfless work.
No, that is really interesting, and I like the tie-in to kind of, in some ways, it's like a senior's home because people sometimes think that a senior's home is a place where you go to like, I don't know, sit on a chair, vegetate, or end your life, and it's not at all. It's completely the opposite, and I think that's probably part of the conversation we should have today, which is around, the vibrance and the engagement and excitement that people can have in that environment, and how yoga plays into this. So. You're working right now at Wild Rose, which is one of our communities in Edmonton. And what's your role there?
I am the lifestyle and programs manager at Wild Rose.
And also apparently the glasses like aficionado, because from what I understand, there's like 6 or 7 different pairs of glasses that you always have on. Different colors, different styles, different like everything. Makes me very envious that I don't have glasses yet, but hopefully when
a lot of readers scattered everywhere.
It's great. Yeah. Then you have the colorfulness of all of it. So that's great. Okay, and then so in your role at Wild Rose, what would be your typical day like?
Usually I get in and I set up the day. So I put on the board so everyone knows what's happening, catch the residents before they get down for breakfast so they know what to look forward to or what they're expecting. Monday to Friday I work, and every day I teach yoga or a form of exercise. Most three out of the five I teach chair yoga. Right after yoga, I follow it up with brain games or trivia or quizzes, things for memory recall. I'm thinking when the blood has reached the brain, is highly oxygenated, it's kind of the best time. And I've also got a captured audience. Typically, a lot of seniors don't want to come for brain games because they're worried about where they're going to be. So I make it fun. We do a lot of jokes and things.
Okay, so tell me about this brain games thing. So one, how would you describe brain games? And two, is it really something people should be worried about, or is it something that actually can be the opposite?
Yeah, brain games is really just kind of like a fun time to get together and question residents. And the topics are really varied by subject. Some of them are, working with science. Some of them are with sports and leisure and entertainment or, literature. So depending on, what your past or your passion is, people have different, they will answer different questions.
And it's probably just an opportunity to like learn things and see what people are really passionate about. Or
absolutely. It's just a great way to, learn about the residents and for the residents to learn about each other, to see maybe commonalities or...
Have you ever found that some residents who didn't know they had a commonality, like realized it there and then it fostered into something else, like other relationship, friendship, whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, just as we think through that part. But okay, so coming back then a little bit about this idea of life, of lifestyles and engagement and fitness at older age, why is physical fitness and exercise kind of very important for seniors?
Well, same reason it's important for anybody, but I think for seniors especially, during a time where lifestyle changes, when you're finding yourself a little bit more sedentary, in your daily patterns, whether you're sitting a little bit more, watching TV, or I find that it's really important to maintain what you've got, whether it be, the level of strength in your muscles or the flexibility of your joints. You're working with all different systems, all your blood circulation. It's, nourishing your brain, it's detoxifying, it's helping with your digestion. All things that I think we all might struggle with or, feel challenged by, but especially in later years.
Sometimes I, as well as maybe people I know, somehow think like, okay, if I've been really active and engaged for most of my life, then when I hit like 65, I can just chill out and relax and not do anything because I've worked out all my life or been very active. Like, would you agree with that statement, or would you think that actually people need to? I don't want to lead the question, but I think I have a thought on this one. But
I believe it's important to stay active. I mean, the level of activity is certainly going to change, but if you've done it your whole life, I find more people who've done it want to continue because they really recognize like the benefit is for their, boosting their mood or their ability to perform certain duties or, just to, keep themselves healthy within all the systems.
So what would you say are the ways that recreational activities and yoga, et cetera, can really help improve the overall mental and physical well-being of seniors?
Engagement, social engagement, being connected, drawing people out of their rooms and, spending time with other residents, recognizing that they're not alone and that there is fun to be had and there's things to learn. I think that's one of the most surprising things for me is that, the ability for anyone to learn something new, to feel motivated and inspired by other residents doing things that they've never done.
And maybe also not feeling awkward about it. Like, just go try it and it's okay. It's
absolutely
fun to try things. There's a philosophy that I've been trained in called the Eden philosophy, and Eden talks about the fact that people die not from sickness, but by loneliness, isolation, and boredom. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot about that, particularly with residents who are living alone, or individuals living at home by themselves, at home, don't have a lot of social interaction. Yeah, they may talk to someone on the phone once in a while, but that loneliness and isolation and even boredom are just, they are killers, really.
Yeah.
And it's something that we want to think about for sure. What about seniors with limited mobility? How do you engage with them? Can they engage? Do they just not come to activities, or are there ways for them to engage? And
absolutely, every single person can practice yoga and practice exercise because everything can be modified depending on your limitations. And to me, that's a higher level. And I find, for seniors especially, they've lived long lives, they've had a lot of emotional holdings, physical experiences, that they do know their limitations, more so than, say, like a college-age kid that thinks that they're like Superman and then they can push their boundaries. Seniors, I find we can work with them a lot easier. And
Sure. And what would you say, how does it make it enjoyable for them? So yeah, they may be able to get there and stuff, but what makes it enjoyable for them? Why do they want to do yoga? Why do they want to do activities with you?
It gives them a reason to get out of their room.
Okay.
I always try to make it lighthearted, have a few laughs, you know, keeping it light. We have several residents that remind each other. Every morning we've got 2 ladies with the same name, and one will knock on the other's door. Sometimes I'll be knocking on their doors, and you know, they'll be in their nightie. It's like, you know, yoga's in 5 minutes, and they're like, come on, get dressed, get out of your nightie, I'm waiting for you.
Can you do like yoga in your nightie? Or is there a certain dress code for yoga?
Well, no, if you're in your own space, perhaps, but you know, in the common room, we like to have them dressed out of their nighties. Yeah, slippers are okay. I don't mind. Slippers are fine.
And what are some of the benefits of yoga? Do you feel like, does it help people with sleep? Does it help people with mobility? Maybe there's some obvious things.
How much time do you have? I mean, it works on all the systems of the body. You know, it works on your physical level. I mean, I could talk about physical benefits, but there's emotional benefits, or spiritual benefits. I mean, social benefits. It's really endless. You know, yoga is a practice of self-observation. So it's a way of checking in with yourself. It's kind of like doing a personal inventory every day.
Yeah.
So the benefits are seeing where you're at. We know, how do I feel? Well, how can I change that? What can I do?
Yeah, fair.
So I think that's...
So what would you say then is the difference between like regular yoga and like chair yoga? Is it...
Modifications.
Okay.
When I'm teaching yoga, the baseline is always working with the 8 directions of the spine. So you want to make sure you're working all the joints and all the different ranges of motions available. So whether you're doing it standing up and doing jump back salutations, or you're sitting in a chair, you can still access that range of motion. There may be a little bit less weight bearing that you would be doing, say, on your arms, but there's ways that we can work around that where you're still getting at different parts.
Same benefits, though?
Same benefits.
Okay, so all the stuff we talked about earlier, interesting. Okay. Can you tell us a story then about someone who's moved into the community or into a community working in who is struggling with their physical fitness or maybe struggling with something, and how your engagement with them helped?
Sure, we've got several, but one I can think of, a lady who was there when I first started working, and she was struggling with COPD. So she's on a lot of inhalers, she sees her doctors often, and for her, that was a perceived limitation that she wasn't going to be able to come and do yoga because all the breathing involved. So I encourage her to come, and it typically means me knocking on her door still. Years after me starting there, like, it's time. Oh, okay, I'll come. She won't come unless I knock. So she'll knock, bring her down. And it was actually really nice. About 6 months ago, she came back from her doctors, and she's lowered her amount of inhalers she takes per day, and her doctor says that she has done a great improvement. And he was wondering what was different. And she's like, I'm doing yoga every day.
It's not the cookies?
It's not, well, it could be,
right,
she's actually gluten-free, so she can't have those cookies. Yeah. But yeah, so he said it was definitely the conscious breathing that we're doing and working on it, helping to increase the lung capacity and moving, the breath in different areas of her lungs. So.
I'm often curious how people celebrate things, and I wonder if, did she celebrate that moment, or do we help them?
I certainly recognize that moment, and acknowledge that moment, and I do talk about it in class in front of the other students or residents that come in to say, there's always growth possible. Whether it's reclaiming something you once had or maintaining something you've got today, it's worth coming. And that's the only way you're going to do it. It's just regular practice.
So what are some of the top kind of yoga poses that are most beneficial to seniors? I mean, obviously, I guess chair pose is not really relevant anymore, but what would be other
Chair pose is really good. You're certainly building your leg strength.
But if you're in like chair yoga, then you're not going to do chair pose, so I guess...
Oh, you do chair pose and chair yoga. Oh, yeah, right. Maybe I'll teach it to you later.
All right. Maybe. Take up on that.
For seniors, I mean, all the postures have benefits, but I think for seniors, and especially, we'll start off with women, senior women, I always make sure that they bring their arms over their head, having shoulder flexibility. It's really good for the blood circulation, helping with the lymph drainage.
Sometimes I can barely lift my arm over my head, so... Yeah. Oh, you don't mean like that, then you mean like...
Any kind of arms over the head. Just bring your hands up over your head. Shoulder flexibility. Anyone as they age and have more of a sedentary life, typically is to round forward and sort of the spine collapses, and you don't use your arms as much. You're not active in your life. You're not picking up after your kids, your husband. You're not working in the garden as much as you did. Yeah. So it's just a reminder to, keep that area flexible, as well as keeping them, the strength of the shoulder joint. That would be one of them. Another one would be side stretching. I always want to start off a yoga session with side stretching, as it helps to release some of the breathing muscles, the diaphragm. So it kind of unties them, so you're able to bring in more breath. So
Yeah.
the more breath you bring in, the more oxygen you're bringing in. You know, that becomes a healing element, is that oxygenated blood flow. So I always do side stretches. Third, can I do top three?
You can do top 3.
Okay, top
Yes,
three.
totally.
The third one would be chest opening or back bending.
Okay.
Again, for the same reason of being slouched, typically sitting in your chair, watching TV, not, you know, as active. You know, the heart as a muscle, but the heart as an emotional center is really important. I talk about the physical benefits, but there's also really important of emotional benefits. For example, you know, arms open this way. You know, you think of in your life when you've done this. When are you ever doing this?
world. Yes.
Oh
Welcome
my
to
God,
Optima
look at the
Living TV.
stars.
Yeah.
It's my grandchild. I haven't seen you forever. And I give you a big hug. It's a time of celebration and love and like expansiveness. So to posture yourself in that way, you are reminded, you remember those times. It comes back to you.
Yeah.
So, and especially just reawakening
Yeah,
the heart.
totally, I like that.
Yeah.
So can we go try this? Like, can we actually go and try out these moves and see like what it's like?
That's the
and
only way you're going to learn. Yeah, for sure. Let's
stuff?
go.
Okay, let's do it. Thanks. No, thanks. That didn't work. That's taking my cookie.